Hello everyone, welcome back. So I just wanted to make a video and say for the record that these non-Glock OEM parts, right? So these are this is a trigger that I got on eBay or one of those. I think I actually got it from AIM Supplies, but these are the cheap Chinese triggers. I can tell you now for a fact that they are not as good as Glock OEM triggers. I've had this one for about a year. This is the first P80 that I built. I've done some 8,000 rounds on this gun with this trigger right here. So I got about a year out of this. So, you know, today I was shooting it and I noticed that the first thing I noticed that was wrong is that it actually did a double discharge. Basically, it almost like it bump fired. So my antennas went up. Started shooting it some more. Didn't do the double discharge again, but what I would notice is that I would shoot it, and then at some point I would just have a dead trigger. So, you know, the slide would come all the way back, the round would go in the chamber, but I'd be pressing the trigger, and the trigger would just be coming all the way to the back over here. Dead trigger. What was happening? I mean, obviously I can't see inside it, but what apparently was happening is that little cruciform thing over here that comes back and pushes back against the lug of the firing pin. It was occasionally missing it. So I'm guessing that this little piece over here over the last year, over the last 8,000 rounds, has gotten worn out just enough so that it was slipping. You know, basically I just finished replacing it. And yes, I did put in another non-Glock OEM trigger. So basically I put in one of those cheap $50 eBay triggers. But hey, I mean, if I can get another year out of it, another 7,000-8,000 rounds, I mean, right now it just makes more sense, right? Because Glock OEM triggers are hard to get, and when you do get them, they're really expensive. So you know, this is not like a self-defense gun, right? It's just a training gun. So right now it just makes sense to just throw one of those cheap little triggers in there and just keep shooting the gun. But I think it's also important for us to know that there is a difference between Glock OEM parts and the cheap aftermarket parts. My Glock 17, you know, all factory, all original parts, that one went 75,000 rounds, all original parts, including the recoil spring, okay? I do think there was probably a little bit of luck in that, but that's how far it went. And so at 75,000 rounds, the part that broke was this little trigger spring back there. That broke. And then after that was replaced, it went another 20,000 rounds before it broke again. So now it's like up to 90,000 rounds. But you know, definitely that went a lot further than this one over here, which only went about 7,000-8,000 rounds. Before this wore out. So basically that's probably like you know, they're probably using softer metals. They're not, you know, it's not hardened steel, so it's just wearing out faster. So that's what you can expect out of these cheap eBay triggers. I mean, it still makes more sense to use it, you know, if you're building a gun just for planking or just for shooting or just building guns for the sake of building guns. Because to tell you guys the honest truth, you know, ever since Biden said that he doesn't like everybody building polymer 80s, I mean, myself and a lot of other people I know have been working overtime doing the thing that he told us not to do, you know, just because he told us not to do it. Okay, so that said, you know, yeah, sure, by all means, go ahead, keep using these cheap triggers. The gun does work. It'll still do 7,000-8,000 rounds, but just be aware that it does have a limited life compared to, you know, Glock OEM parts. Okay, so hope this information is useful to you guys. It's interesting to me. I had kind of wondered how far these aftermarkets would go, if they were just as good or not as good or whatever. And yeah, they're not just as good, but I think they're good enough for range shooting, you know, for plinking, for training. So I hope you guys found this information useful. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.